Something highly unusual took place this week in Congress when colleagues of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the Democratic caucus took a risk to stand up for her. Over the last several weeks, you've seen something of a hardening from the rest of Democrats towards her, towards Rashida Tlaib, particularly towards Ilhan Omar, and somewhat to a lesser degree toward Ayanna Pressley. You saw that when Steny Hoyer addressed the AIPAC conference this week, which MOVEON and a lot of other liberal groups have been calling for them to boycott outright because of some of the Islamophobic bigotry coming out of some top AIPAC members. Hoyer went anyway, and Hoyer said this to the audience there.
By the way, there are 62 freshman Democrats. You hear me? 62, not 3.
What he clearly means there is that there's too much focus on people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib. And not people like them, but specifically them. There's no other way to read that comment. Hoyer later sort of apologized and said what he meant was that we also have a whole lot of other freshman Democrats who the media also should be paying attention to, but that's clearly not how it was read. At the same time, Senator Chuck Schumer took to the floor of AIPAC and came after Ilhan Omar.
When someone says that being Jewish and supporting Israel means you're not loyal to America, we must call it out. When someone looks at a neo-Nazi rally and sees some very fine people among its company, we must call it out. When there's someone suggests that money drives support for Israel, we must call it out.
Then this week, Barack Obama, who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had phone banked for, who she voted for, who is somebody that the entire House Democratic caucus pretty much looks up to, came to address the freshmen privately, and as the Daily Beast reported, basically called out AOC, Rashida Tlaib, and the others who were pushing kind of aggressively on the Green New Deal, on Medicare for All, and said, hey, it's great to have these bold ideas, but you've got to worry about how to pay for it. And the how to pay for it thing is a dig at Ocasio-Cortez, because that has become kind of the right-wing rebuttal to anything that she proposes. And now, as we've seen, it's not just the right-wing rebuttal, it's the Democratic wing's rebuttal as well. And so that brings us back to what happened this week. So Mark Pocan and Pramila Jayapal, who are the co-chairs of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, along with Ro Khanna, who is the vice chair of the CPC, sat down with Cheri Bustos, who is a Blue Dog Democrat from Illinois and is the chairwoman of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. That's the DCCC. That's the party's arm that's in charge of running House races across the country. Last week, the DCCC put into effect what had been somewhat of an unwritten and imperfectly enforced rule in the past, and they put it in writing, which was this. If you are a consultant and you work with a candidate who is running a primary against a Democratic incumbent, even if this Democratic incumbent basically runs against everything the Democratic Party stands for, like a Henry Cuellar in Texas or a Daniel Lipinski in Illinois, then you will be blacklisted. You will not get business from the DCCC. It was quite explicit. These are the kinds of, these types of threats are usually made in winks and nods, and say, hey, better be careful what you're doing there. Nice little consulting business you've got there. Would be a shame if something happened to it. But this was made explicit to apply to be a favored vendor with the DCCC, which comes with it, potentially millions of dollars in business from Democrats who are running for re-election. You must swear that you will not help anybody who's running an insurgent challenge. And so the two co-chairs of the CPC and the vice chair, Ro Khanna, sat down with Cheri Bustos and had a blunt conversation with her and told her that this was an unacceptable policy. And in what are really fighting words within the Democratic Party on the left, they said that she was acting in a way that Rahm Emanuel wouldn't even countenance. This is the hippie-punching, controversial 2006 DCCC chair who's now the outgoing mayor of Chicago, who served for 2 years as Obama's chief of staff, in which his job was to kind of kneecap progressive priorities. So they're putting Cheri Bustos on notice that the Congressional Progressive Caucus is standing with small d democracy, is standing with the right of challengers to run for office, even if there's an incumbent Democrat already in the seat. That is the issue that is roiling the Democratic caucus right now. And for the CPC to stand up for Justice Democrats, for Ocasio-Cortez, and for others who have said, look, if you're falling short of the commitments that you've made to your community, it's okay to run a primary challenge, is quite a big deal, because it finally gives the three of them that Hoyer singled out some backup.